Somebody tell me what is going on with Santa Claus. Usually Santa Claus makes all of his deliveries or gives out his presents on Christmas Eve. But apparently this year, Santa is in the mood to give Apple an extra present, or they forgot to drop off their present after Christmas. We all know what's going on with Apple in their Apple Watch band that has not gone in their favor, as the Apple ban has been upheld. It was ignored by the Biden administration and they let it go through. But again, Santa Claus stepped in and has given Apple a favor. Apple Watch ban temporarily halted thanks to the U.S. Appeals Court. So of course, obviously it's not Santa Claus, but you know what I'm getting at here. Apple has been awarded the ability to sell their products again thanks to this appeals that was upheld by the court. So we're going to dive into this article and tell you everything about that, as well as give you a little bit more background about where this all started from. But before we do that, if you are new to this channel and enjoy this type of content, do me a huge favor. Please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and hit that like button as well. All right, let's jump into this article. Again, after Christmas, Apple is handed another gift. Apple Watch ban temporarily halted. This is an article out of 9 to 5 Mac. Apple has won a temporary pause on the Apple Watch ban thanks to the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. Apple has been unable to sell or import Apple Watches with blood oxygen sensors due to an ongoing patent infringement battle with Massimo. All right, we already know that. I did a video previously talking about this ban when it originally happened, and that video also had a little bit of the background information about the dispute between Massimo and Apple. So if you want to check out that video, we'll make sure I'll link that right here for you. The decision comes one day after Apple asked the ITC to pause the Apple Watch ban until a further decision was made in January. While Apple lost that effort, the company finally found some relief on Wednesday. Apple pre-announced its intent to stop Apple Watch Series 9 and Apple Watch 2 sales on its website in the retail stores last week. Yeah, so if you went on the website on or around December 21st, that's when Apple preemptively implemented that ban, so you was not able to get those watches online. So if you was trying to get an Apple Watch for Christmas for somebody by on the 21st, you probably wouldn't have got it by the 25th anyway, or the 24th anyway. But if you were trying to buy a watch online, the website they had made them unavailable, so you were not able to get that. Physically, you could go into the stores up until I believe Christmas Eve and get those watches. So that ban took place on the 25th, and here we are 2 days later. It has been overruled. Apple's victory today puts the watch ban on hold until January 10th. Apple has also submitted a software update that it believes will resolve the issue. The decision on whether or not this will satisfy the government is expected on January 12th. Here's the full appeal. It's actually only one page here. I'm just going to read it very quickly. Apple Incorporated submits a motion to stay pending appeal the ITC's limited exclusion order and cease and desist order, the remedial orders, and moves for an interim stay of the remedial orders pending a ruling of the motion to stay. The Commission opposes and respectively requests a 5-day extension from January 5th, 2024 to January 10th, 2024 to file its response to a motion for a stay pending ECF number 10 at 1, whatever that means. Upon consideration thereof, it is ordered that the motion for an interim stay is granted to the extent that the remedial orders are temporarily stayed on the government, and is directed not to enforce the remedial orders until further notice while the court considers the motion for a stay pending appeal. While the interim stay is in effect, Apple must comply with the same bond requirements set forth by the Commission in the remedial orders governing the presidential review period. The Commission's request for a 5-day extension from January 5th to January 10th is granted. Opposition to the motion to stay pending appeal is due no later than January 10th, and any reply in support is due no later than January 15th. So there you have it. That is the court order from the clerk of court that Apple is granted the ability to, once again, sell their watches. I'm sure if you go on the website, you can probably see the watches being available and possibly in the stores as well. But just flip over here real quick. This is out of Apple Insider. Apple Watches Series 9, Apple Watch 2 returned to Apple stores. Apple has started selling the Apple Watch Series 9 and Ultra Watch 2 in some physical Apple stores in the United States after temporarily fending off the ITC's sales and import ban, while the online sales expected on Thursday. Okay, so Thursday you will get back online. Just 2 days after the ITC's commission import ban stopped Apple from bringing more Apple Watches into the country, Apple managed to convince the federal court appeals to stay the order. Yeah, so this just goes on and talks about it a little bit more. This gives you a little bit of background about the Massimo versus Apple story so far. Medical company Massimo sued Apple in a district court in 2020 for alleged patent violations concerning the Apple Watch blood pulse oximeter, following up with the ITC filing in 2021. Though the district court action ended in a mistrial, ITC ruled in January in favor of Massimo. So this brings me to question that, Apple had known about this since 2020 and even in 2021, that this obviously was in the courtroom and that they were faced a possibility of having their products banned. And so they didn't have a workaround for that in terms of the software patch that they just now developed, which leads me to question, why did they not have something like that even ready to begin with? Knowing that this was a possibility, Apple knew what they were doing, because the next story I'm going to get into, they knew exactly what they were doing 10 years ago. Yes, 10 years ago, this motion had already started. So we're going to get into that just after this. In October, the ITC issued an order that would bar Apple from importing, yada, 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 followed by a 60-day period of review. Since the veto didn't happen, the ban went into effect on December 25th. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there. But let's talk about, like I said, 10 years ago when this all started. Apple Watch import ban kicked off a decade ago by an early morning email to Tim Cook. All right, this is out of Apple Insider as well. Apple Watch sales ban nightmare may have been started by a Massimo employee offering to help Apple create its own blood oxygen center, sent in an email to CEO Tim Cook. So there you have it. 10 years ago, an employee for Massimo emailed Apple and said that I can help you with this blood oxygen feature. So I think this was 2013. I want to say that was when it happened. The employee sent over email, and I think Apple later on ended up hiring him 2 weeks or so, or within a month or so later on after the fact, and brought him in-house to actually work on the Apple products. Apple's ongoing legal wranglings with the vice producer Massimo over the Apple Watch stems all the way back to 2013, a report claims in an email to Tim Cook. The email triggered not only a new feature for the Apple Watch, but also a legal headache that will see the wearables device banned from the United States. Buried in this legal document is an email to Tim Cook from scientist Marcelo Lamego, sent in the early morning in 2013, Bloomberg reports. The email boldly claimed that the scientists could help develop the new wave of technology to make the Apple the #1 brand in the medical, fitness, and wellness market. A mere 10 hours later, an Apple recruiter contacted Lamego, and he was working as an engineer at Apple within weeks. So, bam, Apple poached him within a couple of weeks after making contact with, or after he made contact with them about this. So this is where this all stemmed from. So again, what I said in my previous video, even just in this video, Apple knew about this 10 years ago. They probably forgot about it. I don't know if they forgot about it really, but they kind of just swept it on the rug. But they knew that they had poached on this technology previously 10 years ago. So they should have been abreast of this. The lawyers should have been abreast of this, and the lawyers should have known exactly what was going on or what could actually come down the pipeline due to this. But Apple obviously felt that they were the juggernaut. They were big boys, that they probably would not have something like this significantly struck down on them. But that wasn't the case, although it only lasted a couple of days, but it did happen. The problem with the situation was that Lamego was previously the CTO of Carcera, whatever, I don't know, Laboratories, the sister company of Massimo. So again, that technology would have been owned by Massimo. And if Lamego took that technology from Massimo and took it over to Apple, that property or that technology is still under Massimo. It still is owned by them. So for him to take it over to Apple, gives the justification for this lawsuit. The headache employee. The email and hiring is believed to be the reason why Massimo went after Apple, calling it a part of Apple's employee poaching in a patent infringement suit. Mego worked for Massimo in 2003 as a research scientist, then became the CTO of Circacor in 2006. Massimo says the Mego didn't have knowledge of how to develop the blood oxygen feature before joining the company, and instead used his experience gained at the firm to assist Apple. Lemego resigned from Apple months after joining, with Massimo alleging Apple got rid of him after getting what it needed for the sensors. Wow. Apple is shrewd as hell. So they got what they wanted out of him and then kicked his ass to the curb. I mean, Apple, very shrewd. They got what they wanted from this man, sucked him dry, and then just decided to fire his ass after they got rid of him. So, yeah, Massimo definitely, had grounds and definitely wanted to get Apple because they took that technology from them. That is crazy. Apple employee Steve Howling instead explains that the departure was due to the Lemego not being a good fit with the company, citing stories of clashes with managers. So this is something that companies always come up with when they fire somebody, and they don't really have cause for firing them. They always say, "Oh, he wasn't a good fit for the company." I guess that's just an easy way for HR to get around any legal implications of firing somebody for no reason. But you hear this a lot. Well, he wasn't a good fit for the company, so and apparently Apple took that route. Citing sources of clashes with managers, demands of $1 million budgets, and wanting free reign to hire engineers without needing approval. Apple did previously approach Lemego before the email, doing so a year beforehand in 2013. It was a time when Apple executives met with Massimo to secure technologies for the Apple Watch, but Massimo believes that it was used by Apple to learn about the technology and to prepare to hire others. I'm a little bit confused. So Massimo worked for 2003. Yeah, so again, 2013, he was approached by Apple before that. And then a year later, he approached Apple. Apple got him on board, sucked him of his technology, probably did a brain dump, hooked a plug up to his head, sucked everything out of him, got rid of him, and the rest is history. As we know, Apple is now the number one, seller, number one maker of smartwatches, and Apple Watch is just doing gangbusters. It is a Apple Watch market too, really. We didn't have a smartwatch market until Apple really came in and took hold of that. Though Lemego didn't leave for Apple at this time, he apparently changed his mind after Massimo CEO Joe Chiani decided not to make him CTO of Massimo itself. Apple also hired on Massimo's former chief medical officer of 20 others. Though the email may have been considered the smoking gun for Massimo's lawyers, it didn't really help during Massimo's main lawsuit against Apple. A senior Apple engineer testified that the blood oxygen features development didn't actually start until months after the Mego left the company. Well, of course, that would make sense. They wouldn't develop it right there while he was in-house. And of course, it takes months, years sometimes to even get this technology off the ground. So I don't think that line right there by the Apple engineer should really hold any weight, because if you already started, documenting, started working on it, doing proof of concept, stuff like that, then you already have that in-house. So it would still, justify or fit in line with the lawsuit. And for him to say that it didn't actually start until months later, I call BS on that, because obviously that's just a way to, cover his back, to cover Apple's back. But we'll see what happens with this lawsuit. This is an interesting development. I still want to know what's going to happen over the next month or so. Will this ban hold up, or will Apple be given free reign to sell their, Apple Watches again like they are as of right now? But that is everything. So let me know what you think about the situation between Apple and Massimo. Do you feel that the court should have stayed the motion and allowing Apple to sell their products, or do you think Apple should still be under the ban? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Once again, thank you for taking time out to watch this video. If you enjoy this video and enjoy this type of content, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And chances are, if you enjoy this video and this type of content, one of your friends or your family members may enjoy this as well. So please share this with them. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest tech news, head over to soundsnerdy.com where I curate and aggregate tech news from around the web covering Apple, Samsung, Google, Android, computing, and even more general tech news, all at soundsnerdy.com. And until the next video, guys, stay nerdy.